So, welcome to Evolving Women with my amazing guest co-host, Precious Fuller. Welcome again, Precious. This is the second episode of a two-part series, and we had some really great nuggets and pieces of wisdom in the previous episode. So if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. You're going to love it. And we're going to continue the conversation today. And I'm going to ask our viewers, when challenges come up, how do you respond? Do you respond or react, I should say, in a really negative, harsh way, or, and see it as an excuse or a stopping point? Or do you see it as an opportunity for growth and evolution? So, Precious, what are your thoughts
Mm.
on that?
Oh, I love this question, and I love the growth and evolution part. So I just jumped straight to the good part. But the reason is because we can't do that in life. We can't escape some of the tough parts. If only we could. Like sign me up, but maybe not, because I know I have to go through it all. So we're gonna have those. That's just established. If you live here, you're gonna have some experiences because we've all breathed the air and drunk the water. There are some things you're just gonna have to go through. But how does it leave you?
Mhm.
That's since we can't choose some of our dynamics that we have to face. Okay. We get to choose our response to them. After we have sat with that and we've thought about it and we've suffered through some things, it's like, I get to choose now. Maybe I
Mhm.
didn't get to before. We don't get to
Mhm.
choose how and where we're born, to whom we're born. I mean, there are a lot of things that are beyond our control, but there's so much that is within our control
Mhm.
once we gain some understanding, some insight, have some clarity. And we can use it as an excuse, but that just continues the suffering. Who wants to keep suffering? Now, there's a name for
Yeah.
it. Some people do like pain. I don't know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I don't even know then if they like emotional pain. Because the thing is, we do not like to, we often make decisions to avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes that even avoid helps us to kind of miss some of our growth because there's some things we do have to go through. Okay. If it's unnecessary, that's one thing. But there's some challenges that we do have to go through. And then it can become an opportunity to say, no, what will I do with this? This
Mhm.
knowledge gained, this experience that has been overcome. This growth opportunity. What now? Because I'm different than I was. And it can be in a much healthier way, a more enlightened way. So we get to choose. That's when the good part comes in. That's the part we can actually choose. So yes, we can make our challenges, we can have that to be an excuse, or it can be an opportunity. I choose opportunity, but I have to tell myself that regularly
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
sounds good and it maybe looks good on paper, but
Yes.
in real time, we have to choose regularly.
Yeah. And it is a practice. It's not a one time, one and done. And we're not perfect. We have an awareness around it, but that doesn't mean we're choosing perfectly in every single moment. And when we're in an emotionally charged challenge or an experience, sometimes it's just a matter of reacting. And then after there's some time and some distance away from that experience, then you can maybe make a different choice. Think about, how you're going to handle this new phase, this new chapter, this new evolution point. So sometimes in the moment, it might be tricky, but then after the fact, we have choices. We can apologize. We can follow a different path. So I think sometimes we need that space and that time to give ourselves some clarity and some processing time.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I like how you brought back in choice. That is such a powerful tool at our disposal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good when our choices are informed by reality, by truth, and we're not just
Mm-hmm.
going off of conditioning, indoctrination, but it's informed. And to be informed, we have to have opportunities for growth and for insight. And when you have healthy people that you can surround yourself with or to
Mm-hmm.
communicate with, you get to grow and learn. That's just a part of it. when those people are not so challenged or threatened by you bringing up something new, and they are not feeling challenged, they recognize this as an opportunity for exploration of thought,
Mm,
growth.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it also involves that reframing. I know we mentioned that when we were talking privately, the reframing of this particular situation or this particular relationship, reframing it in a way that opens up a place of growth and opportunity and change our thoughts around it so that we respond differently.
Yes. Reframing is powerful. And because like now we get to own the narrative. Okay.
Love
So we
that.
didn't originally, that wasn't our choosing. Some things we didn't even see coming. It just kind of looked like it hit us out of the blue. But when I reframe it, I have something to do with this narrative now. I get to be intentional with how it's played out and the impact of the legacy of it. But I remembered what else I said what you said at the end of the last episode that triggered something I wanted to share. I'm so happy it came back to me. So I wrote it down really quickly. But there was a time period in my life, in the circumstance I was living in, that I did not want to know certain truths about a certain topic. I don't know if it came from people or reading books that were recommended. I just knew I don't want it. And I wasn't comfortable yet acknowledging where that came from and why, but I became so. Absolutely, I know why. I did not feel that I was in the circumstance that I could practice those truths. I didn't feel like maybe whoever I was surrounded by would be receptive to it. I did not feel, I felt like it was going to hurt me to know better and not be able to practice better. So I didn't want to. And one of the ways I'm able to measure some of my emotional health now, I've never put it in that term, but oh, I love it. I drink up truth now. And that topic included. Oh yeah, tell me more. Because if it's the truth anyhow. Anyhow. Did I say anyhow? It just is.
You did.
Yeah, there's that. You don't have to agree to it. You don't have to align to it, but you can't change it. And so I appreciate it because if it is, it just is. And then I recognize what I can do with it. I can drink that in independent of what anybody else around me does. Because if I'm not taking in truth, what am I taking in? I'm altering things to fit me so that I can be more comfortable in the moment. I'm keeping myself stifled. And I'm allowing indoctrination of something of the unhealthy kind. Well, indoctrination anyways, I would imagine is a challenge that is being healthy anyway. It's unhealthy because I get to think. But I'm so thankful that I'm not in that space anymore. I'm very thankful. I appreciate truth for me. And you get to do what you want with that information for you. But I choose reality, not fantasy, not denial to live in. Now, I may watch some things on TV, and that may be fun, or maybe read certain fun books, but I choose to live in reality, and not everyone does.
Right.
Maybe sometimes for the same reasons I didn't want to. Maybe. But I'm just so thankful that I'm in a place. Oh, no, I choose reality. I choose what's real, and then I get to determine what to do with that.
Wow. I love that. And what an awareness you had that you were not in a place or an emotional space that you could accept and allow in what you knew was a healthier choice. And correct me if I'm misunderstanding you, but that's what I took from that. That's what I picked up, that you were afraid of the other people around you. So you chose not to evolve from that situation at that particular moment in time.
Yeah, and in that particular way, because I felt like it was going to hurt me more to see the truth and it elude me. I felt like it could, because if I felt like I couldn't do anything with it, but I can do something with it. But it also humbles me and it helps me to be more accepting of others. There are some things that we learn in stages. We can't take it all in the beginning. We might not be able to do anything with it. But as we get to the next level, if we allow that evolution, how about that? If we allow the natural evolution of things, we'll get there and we'll be able to take in more. And then we'll be able to take in more still. And at the appointed time, we're able to do what's appropriate with that knowledge, because knowledge is not just to sit on your dome. I mean, really, what's that doing for you? What is it doing? It's to be utilized, it's to be implemented, it's to be practiced, appreciated. Yeah, all of those good things. And you want to be able to interact with the truth, what's real, in a healthy way. So I'll use with reality. And if you feel you're not able to, it's just a wait. So I think there are stages and there are steps. So I'm grateful for the stages that I'm able to look back on, that I was on. That was part of my path, part of my growth process.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, so much in what you were just sharing with us. I love the concept of learning in stages, because that is evolution. I feel that's a nice way of thinking of evolution. You're moving up to the next stage, the next level, the next piece of your journey. So I love that. I love the owning our narrative and having a decision and be able to own that and have a part in our narrative. Love all that.
Yeah.
Allowing evolution to take place so you can take in more and more. I just have this vision of, just more and more expansion over time as you come to those different stages in your journey. I love that. I see this as an expansion of self. So many things in there. And I was going to say something else too, and I have to come back and bring my mind back around to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
it'll come back to me as it did
right.
for you, but
Yeah, it's so refreshing when it does come back. It's like, oh, I got it.
yeah.
And one of
Yay.
the examples that comes to my mind about the stages of learning, let's say as a child, there could be some unhealthy circumstances around you. You could have there could be some toxicity, let's say in a parent or in an environment. What can you do with that at 3? What can you do with that at 6, 9, or even 12? 21, you may be able to do something with that. Maybe even 18 and the beyond. So sometimes it's a gift to us that we learn in stages, because it could overwhelm us if too much came to us at once and in a way and at a time that we can't do anything with that. So it's not necessarily being in delusion. It's that I don't know this thing yet because it won't serve me. But when we get to the right level, because again, our knowledge, the reality, living in truth and reality, is to serve us. We want to interact with it. It's not good to just sit on the dome. What that can undo you if you don't have the tools to interact with that properly. So at the right stage, you can do something with that.
That is huge. So you're saying kind of put it aside. You have that awareness, but you can't do anything with it right now. But there will be a point in time where you take it back down, dust it off, and apply it, take some action, make a new decision.
Well, what I was
have
saying
the tools.
Right. And at the younger stages, you're not putting it aside. You just don't have that knowledge yet.
Well, that's
because you
true.
don't even, you don't have it yet. And even at times in our adult lives, I don't know if I would word it differently than putting it aside. I would say maybe I don't know, sometimes put a pin in it or not. It's kind of like people who save money in a cookie jar or some type. They haven't forgotten. They know their goal. They know what they're reaching towards. They're not talking about it, but they're steadily putting coins or dollars away. Coins or dollars away. And they've never forgotten about it. And at the appointed time, it's going to produce the increase, and then you're able to do the next step. So it's a motivating factor when you know what's good and what's right, whether you're able to do with that what you want to, you still have the knowledge because it's propelling you. Because again, what's the opposite? If I choose to shut off what's good and right, I'm harming myself. I'm being a part of a circumstance that um it's just not healthy. And it's like I'm doing that intentionally. It's kind of when we choose to not make a decision, we're actually making one. It's
Yes.
by
Yes.
default.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
I can choose one for good and what's right. I just may not be able to get the results I want yet. It's like where the mind goes, the body will follow eventually,
Mm-hmm.
type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can put my mind in a healthy space. I can feed it what's true and right and good. And as more comes to me, if I'm in a healthy enough emotional space, I can receive that. I can receive that. I can receive that
Mm.
because I've already done the observation to realize whether or not I can implement it in said circumstance. So I might need to change my circumstance. And that's what's
Mm.
taking time. So yeah,
Mm.
it's okay. It's when you're in a healthy enough space, you can receive.
Mm. Love that. Whew. And I want to bring up that we need the understanding that everybody is on this journey for themselves, and everything you just spoke about. I think it's important that we all understand that this is happening for us and in our own lives and our own journey as it is for other people.
Yes, I definitely think it is happening for other people. But as far as how many, they get to choose
Mm-hmm.
because they can stifle that. Some people can be content in their state. They can just
Yes.
sit
Yes.
cross-legged and say, this is me, this is where I'm going to be. And anybody who challenges me, good luck. Some people you get to choose whether you grow and evolve.
Mm-hmm.
You're alive, so you're still breathing, so you're alive in that sense. But the growth, the maturity is a choice.
Yes, it
So
is.
that evolution is still a choice. So there are people who look at their experiences in a way that they're preparing for more and greater, and they're taking in that knowledge.
Yep.
Others reject it. They argue it. They
Mm-hmm.
refuse to align with it, and they get to because it's
Yeah.
the power of choice. You can reject what's healthy. People do it all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep. I love that. But I have to remind myself when I'm watching something play out for somebody else
Yeah.
that is, I see it's painful or they're suffering because of their choices. And I'm thinking like, oh, I would have done that a little differently. But I have to remind myself, it's not my journey. It's their journey.
Yeah.
It's their narrative. It's their choices.
That's powerful.
But I mean, I have to stop myself,
Oh my goodness.
like yeah, it was a powerful realization when I understood that. Like,
Oh my
oh,
goodness.
it's not for me to step in and smooth everything out and make it all better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to allow them to make their own choices.
Yes. Watching someone suffer. I don't know the word for that, but that's hard,
Mm-hmm.
especially when
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this E word thing today,
Yeah.
empathy. When we have
Mm.
empathy and we actually care about what others are going through, um, what they experience to some degree may impact us. That's another level. So there are times we have to have, I'll say, a healthy emotional space or
Mm.
distance from
Mm-hmm.
things or people that are beyond our control or that at
Yeah.
least should be. Now, like you said,
Yes.
you could jump in there, you can say and do something, but it's not your
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yeah.
Is that your business, someone
Right.
else's business, or is
Right.
that God's business? A wise
Right.
lady told
Right.
me that.
Right.
Um, and if it's not your business, you have to know that. Put some
Mm-hmm.
parameters around yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we will still be nonchalant about when we see certain challenges or suffering, especially people
Mm-hmm.
that we're impacted by.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have a healthy boundary there
Mm-hmm.
when it's being. So even let's say when our children, because I've entered that stage where I'm having some adult children now, there's some things that are they got to figure it out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not my place because what I
Right.
can do. We all have choices, and when we make the wrong one or when we make the right one, they all come with consequences. We have to remember that it all comes with consequences. So if I jump in and handle their business, they don't get to. So I've
Mm-hmm.
kind of handicapped them because what if
Mm-hmm.
then they don't learn how to?
Yeah.
So I've made it harder for myself because I'm going to watch more bad things play
Mm.
out or more challenging circumstances, and they're not having the tools because I stifled that for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I got to sit back. So, and the reason I use children, because sometimes those may be the closest ones to us, the ones that we
Hmm.
feel the most responsible for.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but still, there has to be a healthy space at the right age and stage of humans that we're not in their business to the degree we should not be in their business.
Hmm.
Because if we are, we will hurt even more as we watch things. And even though I deal with empathy and compassion, I have to manage it because there are
Yes.
things beyond my control, and I have to readjust
Yeah.
so that I'm not taking in things that don't belong to me.
And that's all part of being a parent. I do believe we walk a fine line, especially as our children are adults. And it's like some people don't respect that line and that boundary, but there's those of us that are like, oh man, but you got to let it play out for them. Like you said, you don't want to hinder their choices and delay their personal responsibility or whatever. But yeah, as a parent, I think that's the hardest part right now, is allowing our older children or adult children to have their own lives and not to impose our own will and opinion on them. Not that it's 100% that we don't keep that from happening, but I've tried to be very conscious of that.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah, that's
agree.
tricky.
And you could be at a different stage than I am. So it doesn't mean for me that I don't ever, I don't know if the word is involve myself, but be involved at an appropriate level, because sometimes they
Yes.
invite you there. And there are some
Yes.
things I
Yes.
may see that I may share, that I want to
Hmm.
support them in a healthy walk.
Right.
Now, their response can determine whether you give more or not,
Hmm. Hmm.
whether they're receptive, because it's their choice. But it doesn't mean that I just sit on the sideline and just kind of eat popcorn, hoping for the best.
Oh,
No,
we don't?
no, there are times, so if you know something that would be supportive, like you might do that for someone else as well, if
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
receptive to it. So, of
Exactly.
course, the children too.
If they're open and the invitation is there. But it's a fine line between forcing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that is mine. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I apologize for that interruption, but yeah, like forcing and allowing, and that distracted me. I'm sorry, but I'm um I
Mm,
do want to go wrap this up with a short discussion about the E words, that we,
yeah.
when we were talking prior to the recording, Precious was giving me all these E words that are really powerful, and I love the energy around them. So I just want to just finish this episode up around these E words because I had never thought about it. And you added another one to the list, empathy.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
so I'm just going to
Yeah.
throw some of them out and you can run with any ones that
Okay.
you want, all right?
Okay.
So we were talking about evolution, evolving, empathy, empowered, excuse me, empowered, emotions, emotional intelligence. Excuse me. I know you have some more E words in your pockets.
Well, those are good. And let's say the evolution, because the evolving woman, which you have for your this podcast, it's just amazing because it's intentional growth. Because
Mhm.
we live when we don't die, so there's that. But the intentional growth and development is the natural evolving and evolution that we do when we allow ourselves to keep going higher with the knowledge that we've gained and the experiences. There's an E word
Spirit
that
that
we
one.
that we
Woo.
interact with. Yeah, we can do something with it as we reframe them if there have been challenging ones, or as we celebrate them when they've been happy ones, lighter ones.
Mhm, mhm,
Empowerment, that's the word that I just love, because I don't imagine that when I use it, that someone from the outside does that for me.
mm,
They can support me in my own discovery of my empowerment in ways that I can implement that. But empowerment um, does not come from someone equal to me. I don't,
mm,
in the way I'm imagining that and the way I interpret it, I have it. And there are things that sometimes
mm.
may be dormant,
Yeah.
that have to grow to a stage of appreciation or understanding of, as do you. But when we do that, we have so much already. I didn't even think about this one, but that's embedded. That's
Ooh.
a part of who we are and how we were created to be. And
Mm,
when we tap into that, it's like lights, camera, action, because we're going to
mm,
show up now differently because we recognize some of that empowerment that we possess.
mm,
What are some other words you mentioned? We did evolution, empowerment, emotions, and emotional intelligence. Sometimes people run from the emotions. It's not healthy, not safe, because they end up controlling us when we do that. It
yes.
will not be denied. It's like a child that keeps asking.
Mm,
When mine just briefly was really young, one of them, the first one, I was not feeling well this day, or I was really tired or not feeling well, and she was just kind of at my feet and she was tapping me. It was kind of like, "Mama, Mama." And if an adult keeps doing something and you ignore the adult,
yeah,
eventually they're
yeah,
supposed to get it. But
yeah,
at her young age of 2 or under, she was not going to grow tired.
yeah,
I was going to
yeah. Ain't
have
that the
to
truth?
I was going to have to address it, whether I felt tired or weak or not.
Uh-huh.
And similarly with these emotions, they are indicators of something going on with us.
Mm,
And we can receive it or try to suppress it or reject it, but it doesn't go away. So
mm.
being aware of that, because it's our emotions are the essence of who we are. We're human. We get to experience all of these things. Essence, that's another
I
one.
was just gonna say
And yeah,
another E
yeah.
word.
So we get to experience them, and it's good when we take the time to think about what I'm feeling and why, and then what I want to do with it. Because if I don't ever get to that point, I'm either running from these things I feel,
Hmm.
or I'm overindulging because of something, and I'm just like being controlled.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I stop and I take inventory, and if I give myself permission to feel what I'm feeling, and do some time or have some time around that, then I can be intentional about what I choose to do with that. Whether I need to reach out for help for it, whether I need to just alter something, do something
Hmm.
differently, I get to make that choice. So
Mm.
that's important. I love the emotions are the essence of us.
Essence.
And
Ooh, another good word.
yes, it was a then emotional health. Oh my goodness. As we get older, we can understand and appreciate healthy people in our lives, and we are not always our healthiest, so it's an evolution, it's a growth. Some
Hmm.
people are willing to be on that process and others are not.
Yeah.
They feel like I'm done, I'm who I am, and I'm perfect, or I
Hmm.
just
Yep.
refuse anything. Lord, say don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is already made up.
Hmm.
There are people who live in that space and they get to. I
Yes,
don't
they
want to
do.
join you there. So when I happen to have healthy people who are on a path and allow the growth and development, and it's not to be confused with people who have to agree with you on everything. That doesn't exist, because they have a brain. They don't need
Hmm.
yours to think for them. So they have
Mm.
other perspectives and experiences that have informed their opinions and beliefs about things too. But when you have healthy people, it's so refreshing,
Oh my
because they're
gosh,
on that
yes.
path of
Yes.
emotional growth and intelligence.
Yes.
So that's just important too. So I'll pause there. Those are some of my E words that just they ring true and loud for me, and I really
Mm.
appreciate.
Oh my God. I just love all the E words. And I'm going to be watching for E words now, in the immediate future, like, oh, another good E word, because
Yeah,
words have an energy and a frequency and a power to them. And so just surrounding ourselves with these power words,
yeah,
it can be powerful in and of itself.
absolutely.
And
E-
equanimity,
Equanimity,
equanimity. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was one of
yeah,
your words too. You're going to have to speak more about
yeah.
that before
I'll
we
be happy
wrap
to.
up.
Sure, that's the name of my business, Equanimity Partners. I partner with you, and we get that. Equanimity is our base. We want to come from that space. So let me share what that is. There are times I'll think of it. I'll compare it to like a tornado outside. When those happen,
Mm.
it's a big deal. You want to be away from it,
Hmm.
and you're cautioned to do so. So sometimes life is like that. Sometimes there are stages of our lives with more is going on than at other times. Sometimes stuff just happens and it doesn't ask our permission, and we're not able to make it stop. I mean, you can go out there and speak to that wind if you want to and see what happens, but we don't have the power to just make that turn around and stop. Go back to the ocean where you came from. We don't get to do, or a hurricane, we don't get to do that.
Uh-huh.
However, we do have control over what we do have control over. Let that be ourselves. So, whatever's happening around me, if it's beyond my control, then I have to accept that's beyond my control. But when I
Mm-hmm.
have and I practice equanimity, the tornado is not on the inside too. It may be on the
Mm.
outside, but it's having calm amid chaos. It's not just having
Mm.
calm just because it's calm. It's particularly when things are not calm around you. What an
Mm.
amazing tool, gift,
Yeah,
ability.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know, it's worth the practice of of establishing that peace, that calm,
Mm-hmm.
that serenity, that tranquility,
Yeah, yeah.
um, independent or even because of what's going on. I need it in
Mm.
here because I don't have it out here. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely need it in here. So
Right.
practicing that, and I've been in some experiences that I had to stop and say, I've given myself that brand. That's my business. I'm having to experience that. That's what this is. This is an opportunity. I'm getting to practice it. I'm not enjoying what's
Uh-huh.
out here, but I need to come inside more and live in a space that I have control over so that I do not kind of go berserk myself.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
it's a skill, it's an art, and it's an intention that we can set for ourselves.
Mm. I love that. Make sure I'm saying equinim. I don't
Mhm.
cannot say that for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. So what is it?
Equanimity.
That's it. Equa. You know, when you think
Equanimity.
of, that's it.
Yay.
Equa. If we get the equa, I think we're good. And then it's equanimity.
Equanimity. Ooh,
Equanimity.
you don't say that. Well, you do, but
Not
most of
often.
us don't say that word too often in
No,
conversation.
no, you don't. And it doesn't have to be voiced as much as it's best when it's lived. It's
Mm,
observed. People will see it.
mm,
Carry that
mm.
rainbow with you
Oh, I
kind of
love
thing.
that. And I love that you were speaking about being centered. To me, you were talking about being centered and grounded in the midst of that tornado, that hurricanes are going on around you, but you're like nice and calm and peaceful, like right here within yourself.
Yeah,
And there's power and strength in that.
absolutely. Because again, what's the alternative? To get caught up in that
Yeah.
storm?
Yeah.
Don't want that. I mean, and you've used another E word, energy. That will take all my energy up and I will be a wreck. I
Yeah.
choose not. And then I have impact on those around me. So if I'm in a storm, I'm
Yeah.
impacting those who are depending on me.
Mm-hmm.
And what if I could impact them for good? There's enough
Yes.
that can impact them for negative if they,
Oh,
you
for
know, their
sure. For sure.
exposures out there.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
be a safe one. But before I can help anyone else, I have to put my own oxygen
Mhm.
mask on first.
Yes,
I
yes.
need to embody it. Embody.
Ah!
I need to embody. It's a gift I give myself and then all who I impact as well.
Oh my God, I love this awareness around E-words. This is just so fun.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh, so much good stuff. Stuff happens and doesn't ask our permission. Love that. And we have, like you said, control over ourselves. And that's all we can control. And if we can control that, like I said, we will impact other people in a real positive way. And I like to think that's why we're here. We're here to have
Yes.
a positive influence on those around us and the world in general. And if we start from that inner place and we can get centered and calm within ourselves, then that is going to ripple out in the world, can be a much better place if we have that centeredness within us. So, oh my gosh, I love these E words. I've loved our conversation. So many good points to think about, so many nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much, Precious. This has
My
been
pleasure.
great.
My
And
pleasure.
I'm going to invite our viewers and our listeners to pay attention to those E words and really see if you can see them in your life and if you can use them. Energy, embody, equanimity. Did I say it?
You did.
Yay, empowered, emotional health, experience. All of those were some of the words we talked about. So just evolution. So just
Hmm.
notice if any of those come up in your world in the next 48 hours or so, just for
Hmm.
fun, just to have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. This has been a joy. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, so have I. This has been so fun. So I want to thank you again. If you want to mention quickly where people can connect with you, and I do want to remind everybody and you that We will put some links in the description so that you
Okay.
can find Precious a lot easier, but please tell us
Yes.
where you hang out.
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook, Precious Fuller. I'm there. I'm also on LinkedIn, and those are my two spaces. And in addition, if there's any further contact that you would like to do that you think you'd benefit from being on my calendar, and we explored those, explore. It's an E.
Yeah, another
I'm
good
on
one.
Calendly, calendly.com/Precious Fuller.
Mhm.
PreciouSFULLER. So I would look forward to meeting with you.
Oh my gosh. And you are a women's empowerment specialist. I love
Yes,
that title.
yes.
That so if
Mhm.
you want to feel more empowered, you might want to go seek out Precious and connect with her and allow her to fill you full of wisdom. So thank you so much, Precious. Such a delight. So appreciate
Yes.
your time here. Everybody who's watching and viewing, thank you so much for your time here. If you like what you heard, feel free to share this episode, subscribe, do all the things that I'm supposed to say to have you do. But thank you so much. We look forward to connecting with each and every one of you and watch for upcoming episodes of Evolving Women. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.